Oh, and we were casting Mecha break. Let's go. Randomized selection for the first map. I'm going to go ahead and throw out Graceland. Oh, it's Palm Bay Harbor.
It's a
That's
1 in 5
actually even
chance.
better. Let's go. The map that actually shows us our most turnarounds in the last few percentage of the payload, and both teams have had games like that. Sky Raider first, ORCA now to ban.
No Sky Raider, Falcon available, and also that stationary Tricera, the anti-melee beast. That's going to be tough to push that payload without as solid of an anchor. One that you can really leave alone at daycare and come back later. Like, now who's going to be in charge of that? Is it going to be your Stego, your Aleseness hanging around, Welkin? The game plan changes.
All right. 40 seconds to hang. Just look at what we might be getting picked into this game. Zero does go back to that Hurricane. MDB, what might he pick? Inferno's already locked in there. So, yeah, you mentioned it. You're going to have that air superiority kind of knocked out, and just for the Aquilas this game. So they might be able to free fire a little bit. And Happiness, Mambu, they are great at finding positions where they get 5-6 shots off before the teams will have to stop them.
I think this ban actually really hurts Celestial Being. Those two strikers, Sky Raider and Tricera, that was the core of that. Tricera, Sky Raider, Welkin, Lumine, Stego, Hurricane is exactly what Celestial Being ran last time. So it's got to be about plan B, and it all comes down to this first map. Still a best of 3, everybody. So not a lot of second chances if this map doesn't go your way.
Palm Bay Harbor B as we fly around. Remember, as we discussed last time, the team can cap the first 2 points if you're riding your payload and nobody is drawing that payload backwards towards your spawn. You can keep the game pretty even. So there's a lot of different focusing you can do throughout the macro of Palm Bay Harbor, and expect to see everybody on the high and low ground here to start, as we've seen from this tournament.
Glad you mentioned flying high, because there are no flyers at all. It is an Aquila versus Aquila with not a lot of mobile strikers that can go and pressure them if they're off into the distance. So keep in mind the Mambu versus Happiness Aquila off, I guess, and how there's no Tricera to anchor this card, and melees can go crazy. Welkin is available, so Mr. John Welkin, our president, he was our MVP so many times yesterday, and he better unleash again today.
Seeing a little walk around here as they just pepper each other back and forth to see what fluid shields, and then maybe an attack they can get in here in this war of attrition where you're basically going to get healed up and back into the fight before the point comes up. Quick 3 for CB here, and they're going to be allowed A.
Wow, there's just a slam dunk on Mambu's head, down to 1 HP and no energy. And just now chased down by Steel Haze. Good coordination from ORCA. Now needing to make a play towards the payload while they are in this position. The melee, Chuobi on that Welkin, hoping to protect that objective up into the sky. Vita will challenge, now Welkin follows through.
Oh my god, to the skies with both Welkins. You actually just heard Inferno calling for help. Inferno looking for backup. They are focusing. MDB usually has a pretty free time in the air, but not this time. Zero now to answer back with the Hurricane as they set up to figure out what the next priority target is.
Yeah, with these decoys from the Hurricane, you can try and protect the zone around, but the kills follow through from Celestial Being, and the Aquila diff is there for Mambu for the moment. MDB tries to hose down the low ground, and he finds himself on the low ground, forced to disengage and find some safety away from his team, as Steel Haze is also trying to run away at 1 HP. John Welkin removed from the low ground. Celestial Being are winning the war.
Charlotte just spawning back in, trying to get there to heal. They didn't have it for quite a bit, and now they will be bolstered a little bit more. Mambu looking for that protection. As gets back with Ann and the rest of the squad. You can see the heal drone is on. Then Tuobi is just giving MDB hell. Never spinning in the box, always going for the left clicks charge.
Yeah, you just never know if they're going to be dashing away, so wanting to be precise with the swings. The console unlocked and captured by Celestial Being, boosting their progress. When it rains, it pours, but ORCA trying to match blow for blow, able to find Manbu. You deny that sniper for a moment. Happiness needs to apply that damage when he goes unperturbed. Now in a melee-centric area, the Welkins are going to go crazy.
I mean, after B is won, usually there's a bit of reprieve as you get just to the side alleys there in the corridors, but no, Vita is here fighting everything, and Steelhaze is forced to go in with John Welkin and Tuobi.
Remember, Steelhaze is on the Elisa, so you got the extra melee potential in ORCA in these close quarters as Toby puts up the box to protect against a ranged poke, and ORCA are just hosing down Celestial Being.
Great, look at that Tuobi. Just a breather moment to figure out what's going on. Could actually go down in a situation, but the fluid shield starts to regen as they get to protective areas. Nicely done. Never really seeing the shots through the top of this roof. Actually awesome from Zero Zenitz has tried to be capitalized on by MDB here.
All the decoys, all the shields can only protect you for so long. So much focus from Happiness, but this only buys time for Celestial Beings melees to get into that sniper's face, and Happiness is missing in action.
Steelhaze backing. Still getting hit, like the window's still open, denying that fluid armor from regen, finally coming back, but it's repositioning, it's taking a breather, it's ORCA not being able to engage on the fight, which means Celestial Being is always feeling comfortable to do the engaging themselves.
And keep an eye on the kills coming up soon, because the console is about to unlock, and this could be for the lead towards the end of the finish line. Celestial Being in position, they have their defenses up, they have their Welkin on the prowl, and John Welkin almost being humbled until he takes the advantage, and they skirmish on, but the console captured by Celestial Being.
75 to 65, about just 10% between the payloads means it's still anybody's game with the way this works, especially if you start to roll back your opponent's payload by controlling it. The fight on C continues as you see the slow movement from ORCA here, trying to catch up, but also focusing on movement. This is going to be tough.
And also keeping one on the payload so you get that extra speed.
Yes.
And it's just traded so well, so back and forth. But the payloads are starting to diverge, and now the fights may be split.
Ooh.
But these ranged demons, especially Manbu and Happiness, could have a field day. But not if the Welkins box them off.
It's the sky battle coming out from Welkin and Tuobi. Now you can see Welkin thinking, pressuring. Does they have to move it? No, they have to get back into the fight. You see how split they are in their decisions. Zex Vita taking down MDB, and that's the Inferno damage you want right now to push the tanks off the payload.
And the weight is on ORCA's shoulders to make a play. They are not in the lead. 10% away from Celestial Being. ORCA need to go claim the enemy cards. Go towards the blue side, which is approaching that finish line in this best of 3. It will be series point, and Manbu with a critical pick. Happiness not there. MDB, that glass cannon has been removed, and Celestial Being are fine and well.
Yeah, 5% left. Looks like they should be able to walk this one in. 2 members of ORCA still down. What a strategy to focus. You said they never banned out MDB's Inferno, but man, was it focused this game to make sure it could do absolutely nothing.
It's great effort. I mean, I think the Welkin mirror was pretty close. Even Manbu versus Happiness. I think Manbu had the early advantages, the early picks, setting up momentum for Celestial Being. Pretty much all the consoles went in Celestial Being's way.
That was
although
fast.
that allowed them to maybe abandon the cart, let it push itself, get after and pressure ORCA, and they maybe got some more progress, able to keep themselves within 10 to 15% at all times, but ultimately it is CB that crossed the finish line.
Yeah, there's two phases to play on Palm Bay, and usually most maps, but that fight and the payload movement, and you saw the payload movement was still there, as you mentioned, for ORCA. 10% behind is very much anybody's game, but it's having everybody alive for that last fight, and they started to just get so separated, staggered on those death timers, and really we're seeing Celestial Being identify those so fast and not just like rest on their laurels, but go for even more, go for the throat.
And I needed to wait until the payload got to the 100% before I said ORCA lost.
Between these two,
because it was like 95% when they came back, and I had to hold my breath and I almost passed out. So ORCA just that close, but not able to curse a team not called extra turn. So we'll see with this extra map coming up where ORCA want to take us to next.
Exactly. It's their choice since they have the loss. So what feels most comfortable. With MDB being focused, that's an instant thing they can say, hey, this is different than any of our games. And they should be able to play around that.
I think Crop Sinkhole was something they picked against Anubis when they lost map number 1, speaking of ORCA, but it takes an incredible amount of coordination. They were not happy with how they approached that, and if they hadn't fixed those problems, I would say don't return to it, but if they're happy with how they performed yesterday, I would say to do it. And I mean, to go up against Extra Turn, they beat them on Crop Sinkhole, so that's possible. It's tough where to go to.
Let's see. Yeah, they have the not a Palm Bay Harbor win. That was against a different shuffle, so it's going to be tough.
My money is on Crop Sinkhole.
Crop Sinkhole, I like it.
I mean, it was a map 1 start.
Ban.
It is the map 1 start against Extra Turn, so it's not like they picked it there, but they won it. So I think that definitely lifts your spirits after that loss to Anubis on that one. We'll see if I'm right, but we have to see who was the best in terms of the stats. And I wanted to see Manbu versus Happiness damage. Ooh, it's pretty close.
My gosh. Even focused, MDB is doing the most damage in the like second most of the game there. Obviously behind Stego, Deacon doing quite a bit, but it's over on CB side that we see the numbers of teamwork that allowed them to get through here. Tuobi on the Welkin, knocking out 3, 4 assists there. Vita up in the air, 7 assists. So you could just 8 assists for Ann too. There was so much happening for them.
A lot of things happening when ORCA can't get the right focus fire going. Like, Happiness is doing pretty much like similar damage to Manbu, but doesn't have the kills. 4 kills to 0. And this is no flame to Happiness. This is like a team effort of Happiness needs to be called to finish off these kills, or he needs to call for help to finish off what he began. And this welcome from Toby just made getting any control of the payload nearly impossible.
Yep. On everything. A lot of that damage right there, all on a lot of it rather on MDB, taking quite a bit of damage as well to help protect the points. And I think, now that I forget what I was going to say, looking at how the Hurricane played out, we get another win on a Hurricane pick because it's when it does squeak in, it seems to have such a big effect in the game.
For sure, and against all the snipers and the range damage that were happening, you had the Welkin box, you had the Hurricane Cloud, or the decoys, I should say, and the bubble. Tricera was banned, and I think that's when the Welkins get to have a field day. They get to skate without too many obstacles in the way.
It's so true. You when you do spin on the payload, you're not just bouncing off any shields or whatnot. So yeah, it makes it a lot more fun, and you have the advantage to get that top-down attack a little less, which means you're gassing yourself. You do want the unparryable, but it's not as necessary if you're not seeing the Tricera all the time.
So is Crop Sinkhole going to be the play for ORCA? Of course, they're a team that talk a lot and also know how to anticipate what their opponent is going to be bringing up. They are such an intelligent team that study and know what the bans from the enemy team are going to be. They know what maps the enemy team likes. ORCA knows, but it's now about the execution in game, and when the chaos happens, can they keep their heads together? This is the lower bracket. You got to rise up to the challenge, and now you are the last team of North America. You are North America's last hope.
That's a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, I know. My bad.
I think they got it, though. Just thinking everybody else is on vacation now, but we are gunning to lift that core, lift the trophy here and be world champions at the Mecha Break Pre-Launch Global Invitational. Right now, Celestial Being has set their sights on that with 1 win. Again, right after this series, they're going to be diving in with Luna Break, which is going to be a tall task as well. So they have to buckle down and focus on this. Hopefully get it in 2.
Yeah, let's prove that NA does not mean near airport. But they will be going near a sandstorm. Eye of Mizra picked by ORCA, and similar deal to the Crop Sinkhole guess that I had. There's a lot of objectives. It's a large map. There's a lot going on at once. Are ORCA going to want to focus together? Who is going to be the main key carrier? Is it your Luminate? Is it a Flyer? What will it be? And will the Aquila matchup still favor Manbu? It's a team effort to really get those kills come through.
I think a lot of those answers to your question are yes. So what can ORCA do to stop it from happening, right? How quickly can they get these caps? What's there going to be the organization on key capping or fighting for death timers? It's the question. I think a lot of the time they try and get a position, again, where MDB can start to unload before they attack, but it seems like just even that portion of setup, the fact that Celestial Being knows ORCA wants the Inferno damage before everything is such a tell.
I wonder if Aleseness gets targeted here, of Vita, and also ORCA loving playing the Aleseness. The Aquila. ORCA don't want Happiness to go up against Manbu in that department.
Sky Raiders it is.
Proceed to select striker.
Vita gonna pull that out possibly.
Which is fine, because ORCA don't run too much Falcon. This is definitely a denial. If anything, when Aquila is out of the picture, Sky Raider is the #1 for ORCA. So Manbu, now that the Inferno is open, has to try and do what MDB did on the last payload, except win it this time.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Deacon on his Stego. Everybody looks very, very comfortable coming into this matchup. The storm hits, and we're going to have to see how Charlotte and Ann take to that and who they start to get around. But expect, I think, to see Charlotte with the Welkin, with John Welkin this time, running back up to MDB and Sky Raider. Happiness will come in whenever he needs. Same for the other team, but they're not going to have that air superiority for Celestial Being right now. So expect the points to be very heavy duty when they get to the fight.
And the only map that CB lost outside of, well, the EVA matchup was Eye of Mizra. The very first map, very first match. Falcon was something IHZ ran, but that was their substitute that came in, and Zex has been a mainstay ever since, so not sure the situation there, but you can always attribute sometimes a weird loss to just, well, you didn't have your core roster. At least that's my cope. It is series point, though, for Celestial Being one step closer to getting to top 4.
There's the storm looming just off on the side of Eye of Mizra. The moment that comes in, all hell breaks loose, and targeting for the birds. All right, let's see. Poised and ready to enter. ORCA hopefully can bring themselves back around here to show us a map 3.
Celestial Being, you're really throwing them off their game plan, not having this Aquila for Manbu. This is such a core part of their game plan of Eye of Mizra. So can they find energy at range or damage at range? Of course with the Inferno, but now a lot more accessible than an Aquila that can hang a lot further back.
I feel like everybody's taken to the air right now just to see what's happening first, who might be the first engaged. Even the Welkins were up top firing the cannons off. I don't even think had targeting on those shots, just looking for the free form shot. And now there's the disruption from the Sky Raider and the blue orbs, the Stego Haze in the blue gas. You see it as hiding and protecting them before they get to this first point as B spawns up.
And at this portion of the map, it's about setup, it's about kills. And look at CB, already trying to dislodge what ORCA have set up on that high ground. As the Welkins, the Aleseness are going to skirmish. Seems like a 1v1. There is some reinforcement as Vita joins the side of his Ultra Heavies, basing up. He's going to spawn soon, so these kills coming up are critical.
Tuobi took pretty good heat there from MDB's Inferno for a moment.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You called it. Vita went in to get a little bit more health so he could get back into the fight. Going to go Aleseness here. And is just going to get back in after being a nuisance, trying to cause chaos. But great control by ORCA to be identifying these quick kills.
And while you're kind of getting armored as Aleseness, you are invulnerable. You're able to escape, but all the Welkins spinning. There's smoke, there's Infernos, there's range damage. It is getting boxed out, but it's still not a good window of opportunity for CB to go for a cap. But the MDB has been uncontested, but with the Stego smoke, he can't really see much except a Welkin in his face. Tuobi's boxing him out, but MDB's mobility, his escapability is huge. But that first blood goes to CB.
That was disgusting movement coming out there, as you recall the fight. Tuobi still trying to chase, still coming into the Welkin, and now it's the two inside, Welkin and an Aleseness just trying to tear you down. Great escape. These two for ORCA are going to hurt, though, as they're coming up in 4 and 15 seconds.
Yeah, and one of your main callers for ORCA is down too, and they had to stabilize in a 4v6, and you just have to dump damage in. There's a lot of stall, but with the Stego smoke, you don't know if someone from CB is secretly getting that key, and as soon as they do, they will just fade off into the distance with how fast this game is.
I mean, we're a few minutes in. You got to say congratulations to the coordination on both teams. Only 2 kills so far, still no caps. Everybody's resetting, understanding the battle so well and getting back to their Lumine, or Lumines are getting to them. This is going to be a slugfest. I'm going to be impressed when somebody gets that first key, honestly.
Oh, John Welkin going for the execute Manbu on his last legs. And I like that John Welkin is trying to get all the attention towards him. He gets the chase down, kill confirmed. The key picked up by Tuobi though, as Celestial being down a person has to escort and get the upload. There is a chase down though. Look at that red dot on the map. ORCA want to try and deny that upload. The first tick goes through. Tuobi in a little bit of trouble. Seems to have some backup though, and that should be a full upload.
The Welkin's got it. Locks one down. That's going to be huge for CB. 32-2 now. They have to focus on the next points. They almost need to wear away the team of Celestial Being before they're getting themselves inside this Bash Brother tank ball on the point.
Yeah, ORCA getting outnumbered as they were chasing the upload and as they try to just retake for B. And Tuobi, that Welkin has been an important core part. Deacon is low, and look at that 2-on-1 collapse from CB to confirm that kill.
That was gross, a double unparryable knockdown. I'm sure he's just finding his pieces in the sand right now as ORCA look to respawn on Deacon. In this top fight, MDB has consistently been focused. We see him activating that 3 to always fade, always dodge, and it just seems like there isn't enough time. Vita again now onto Charlotte. The healing is out.
That's why I said maybe that Elysianus ban, you gotta consider it. I know there's so many threats on CB, but Vita definitely is an underrated one. And CB have been, you see the loading bars on the HUD, that's when someone's trying to grab a key, and you'll notice when they'll be able to. Both Zex and Ann are going for B, and they managed to pick it up, so Zex will be on his way over. He's a Tricera though, so he's gonna be slow as heck, but Tuobi just picked one too. He's on the Welkin. Very too slow, but very survivable people, and because the Pulse Storm, they may just get away with it.
I thought we were upside down for a second, but we're just on the ceiling. Don't worry about it. That was crazy. And now they continue to fight towards that inside A, so nobody can get out, but it is gonna be that cap you were talking about, slowly walking it over. They should be able to get this with 2OB easily. 2! Just on the point. Uh-oh. This is instant, Lemon.
Yeah, 10 points away. This is tough. One final tick, actually. 2OB needs to be denied. ORCA needs to throw everything at them or their tournament lives are over and say goodbye to North America. Celestial Being, shut the door.
Well, I did say that we should have seen a bigger gap between these teams, and whoever starts to take a lead, and we got that gap, Lemon. It was Celestial Being. Any advantage was pushed to the max, and they never even let ORCA look at a comeback on these maps. Beautifully played, understanding the organization of how MDB and the rest of the squad want to fire in their damage, and they stopped it.
That Pulse Storm could have not come at a worse time. 2 keys up. Ruins all the lock-ons, and that's all ORCA like to do in these 4v6 is just dumped range damage in. Who picks up the key? A Welkin. Who picks up a key? Another Heavy. They just escape without the lock-ons of the Pulse Storm. They're healthy enough to survive it, and ORCA just a mess trying to keep up with that. When you just don't have vision, you don't even know who's who. So just an unlucky time in dire straits at just the most key part of the map.
And what we need to see here towards the end of the tournament, being able to dissect your opponent, coming out with a strategy that works for you easily. And I love the fact that you mentioned that MDB was never banned on Inferno. People just figured out how to play around it in the last moment, and we still got the Hurricane picks to kind of be the advantage there for the side of Celestial Being on Zero's end. So really, really smart stuff, playing to their strengths the whole time in an Eye of Mizra that they actually were able to capital on very fast.
And now we have the number 1 versus number 1 of China versus number 1 of Japan in the upper final. We have the number 2 of China versus the number 2 of Japan in the lower side. It's crazy. No more North America, but I still got to applaud how far Empyrean got, how far ORCA got, and just the talent on display at this Mecha Break Global Invitational, the comebacks that we've seen, the upsets that we've seen. And now it all comes down to who is the best region. Is it China or Japan? And who's going to get their rematch? Is it going to be Luna Break or is it going to be Celestial Being?
I think a lot of people right now are thinking, yes, the lower bracket, Luna and CB can easily make it up, but are they going to have to face Eva? Or are they going to have to face Anubis? Like that next game, remember, they're going through A third one is going to be Anubis or Eva for these teams. It is a gauntlet, a punishing gauntlet here where your opponents are obviously only getting harder, but it's an exponential harder with actually the way that we've seen these upper bracket teams play.
You know how difficult it is too is the fact that they have to play right after this.
Yes.
Like, we're not
Always.
going to the upper bracket to like find out the result of that. We're following Celestial Being and Luna Break. So I hope Luna Break at least had lunch or something. Celestial Being, though, I'm sure there is fire in their hearts, and they are nicely warmed up. And looking at the numbers, it was almost a flawless map.
It was just a few kills over there, but yeah, 3 kills, 3. The assists coming out from everybody. So big on Vita. We saw that being incredible. Manboo still coming up with a bunch of kills. I almost would have to say it's Vita if it's not going to be Tuobi for the cap points that were actually got in there. And that was incredible stuff.
Yeah, ORCA really tried to hit him where it hurts, to deny that Aquila, to force Celestial Being to go into a composition that they haven't played in officially on Eye of Mizra. But Welkin, Tuobi made sure that just no one from ORCA could grab a key. No objectives got done. And for a Welkin to